Hey guys, Sethley here, back with another Apex Legends video. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. In this video, I'm going to be going over the news we've gotten over the past day or so, and surprisingly, new information keeps continuing to come out every single day, so I'm definitely thankful for that, since I'm sure we all know that if they didn't keep in contact with the community, then things would get pretty bad, especially due to the buggy nature of the most recent event patch. But before I get into all of the news, I wanted to let you guys know that I competed in the Gaming Merchants Creator Kill race earlier today with my homie QZ, and we ended up getting 5th out of 9 duos in the first round. So if you weren't able to watch it live, then make sure to stay tuned to watch me compete in round 2 live on the Gaming Merchants channel sometime next week. But real quick, I just wanted to give a huge thanks to the Gaming Merchant for taking the time and effort to host this event and bring content creators from the community together. It was honestly really fun, and I'm excited for round 2. But the first thing I do want to go over in this video is the update made to the dev tracker earlier today. If you don't know the Apex dev tracker, it's a site where Respawn can keep the community updated on what they're working on and what is to come. Now, at the time of this recording, the dev tracker was updated with a ton of new additions about 7 hours ago, and the first 3 additions to the tracker are listed as coming in a future client patch. Starting out with a pretty big bug that is causing the new setting performance display to have issues. The tracker doesn't list any other description other than that it is coming in a future patch. So the next addition, labeled as coming in a future patch, is about certain crashes that occur when -dev is applied, and honestly, I don't know what they mean by that. So if you guys know this type of crash, then let me know down in the comments. But the last fix labeled to come in a future patch is one for Crypto's EMP. Basically, if you call in a Crypto EMP while you aren't in the drone, then your gun will be lowered for 5 seconds. Now, I haven't played Crypto since the aftermarket event update as far as I know, so I haven't had to deal with this, but it sounds extremely irritating. Thankfully, we do know they are working on it and a fix is coming. But the last 4 additions to the dev tracker are only labeled as investigating. So based on the labels, these issues aren't as close to a fix as others, but it's still good to know they're aware of them and are working on it. But the first issue is a bug where using an Octane jump pad can prevent the user from jumping. Next is a really big one that I've seen a lot of people talk about in the community, and this problem that is currently under investigation by Respawn is that players can't hear each other in lobbies while connected via crossplay. And if you ask me, that kind of defeats one of the main points of having cross-platform. I mean, of course, the majority of people begged for crossplay so they could play with their friends. So hopefully they make this issue one of their priorities. But second to last, we have a really odd one. This bug causes a player to be teleported to a crafting station when they get knocked down. I have absolutely no idea how that could happen, but at least they're working on it. Finally, we have an issue with the current Flashpoint LTM. According to the dev tracker, the ring can spawn in playable spaces in Flashpoint, but to be honest, Garza worded this one really weirdly, so I'm not entirely sure what he meant by it. But now let's get into some comments recently made by Respawn designers. Someone on Reddit said, "I don't understand why they're afraid of making big legend changes most of the time. The game has been out for more than a year and a half, and the legend tier ranking system has been exactly the same except for Gibby, and all new legends are consistently at the bottom tier. Most of the time, when there is a big buff, there's always a nerf attached to it, even though the legend is totally useless and will be even after the buff. They keep shifting the gun meta continuously, but the legend changes are always so small, except for 1 or 2 rare cases." Now, I don't think I really agree with him much, but I do see where he's coming from. The interesting part is where the designers came in. The first Respawn designer said, "I am once again about to talk about stuff that I'm not a designer for, because I feel like it. You're not my mom." But then he said Daniel Klein, another Respawn designer, is a better source of truth. But then he continued on to say, "This is complicated by a number of factors. We are intentionally a gun game with characters, not the other way around. We try to avoid making legends within combat just press Q and do damage abilities for a number of reasons. We want to use legends to explore other aspects of Battle Royale. That way they can be differentiated and have a unique play space. Think about Loba. We want a loot-focused character that seems like an interesting axis to touch. However, it has just turned out that almost all of these interesting axes of powers are just not clearly as powerful as things like hitbox size, mobility, and combat utility. In my opinion, the game has sort of resisted new play patterns in a way that I wouldn't have personally predicted." Note that Legends take a long time to make. If I remember correctly, we were playtesting Rampart before the game even shipped, or very close to it. We see how the game is playing out and are making adjustments, but reacting to it properly takes time. He then went on to say a bit more, but I'm going to skip over that part since I don't want this video to be insanely long. But about 48 hours after he said that, Daniel Klein, the Respawn designer who was referenced by the other dev as a better source of the truth, replied. At this time of the recording, he commented about 8 hours ago saying, "Well said, I am going to push Loba's loot power some more next patch. I hope, but there's only so much you can do short of press button to get full gold equip and a Kraber R99 to punch that power up. But yes, the main reason we can't just bring everyone up to Lifeline, Wraith, and Pathfinder's level is that we're then stepping away from making a gun game and approaching making a character game. Not that that is a bad thing by itself, but you can do serious damage to the fun of a game by making changes that individually don't seem broken. Like say we could make it so Caustic could shoot his own barrels while they're still in the air for an instant airburst that leaves a cloud of gas where they exploded. Cool, only now he's pushing you with essentially 3 gas grenades, and his ability to use this tactical well trumps your ability to position and aim well. Say we give Loba the ability to teleport quickly and silently, and suddenly you're losing fights not because the other team planned an ambush or executed better, but because they saw you and reacted to you by putting one of their members behind you. And of course you'll say, cool, we can counter that with other abilities. But now we're talking about a game of ability versus ability rather than gun versus gun. He continued on to say more about his reasoning behind their Legend meta decisions, and I'll show it on screen right now for you guys. But now that we know they're working on a buff for Loba's loot power, I'm wondering what type of buff it could be, especially since they just increased her passive and ultimate range. Not to mention he pretty much said that a faster silent tactical wouldn't work in a way that rewards skill. So comment down below your ideas for how to buff Loba. I'm sure you guys have some great ones. But remember, anything could change in between now and the time a new update comes out. But lastly, I wanted to cover one more thing regarding the current state of Apex Legends. More accurately, the current state of Pathfinder. So I saw a clip on Reddit made by a fellow content creator known as Moki Sniper, and in it, he explained how the grapple update technically wasn't a real buff. Well, a Respawn designer actually replied to this post with some useful information about our boy Path. I'll link the post down in the description below if you want to check it out, but here's what the dev said. Hijacking this one to reply to all the questions I've been getting, and he's referring to the Reddit post. But you're absolutely right, this isn't purely a buff. If we gave you that impression, that's on us, and I apologize. There wasn't room to give Pathfinder a change that would be a buff in all contexts. He's just too powerful. I've got some follow-up changes already in playtesting. Because Path is so very powerful, I wanted to be extremely conservative in my first swing at this and see how it affects his power on live. Unfortunately, the shoulder geo getting stuck on your view bug is polluting that data. But assuming once that bug has been fixed, his win rate doesn't spike super hard, I'll have follow-up changes that'll move us closer to buff territory. Now I don't know about you guys, but even if there were no visual glitch, I'm still not sure how I would feel about the change. I mean, after all, technically the cooldown for your grapple is longer than it was before if you reach the maximum distance, since the cooldown doesn't start until you lose your momentum. But if they do end up having to make more changes to Pathfinder like he said they would, I'll be curious as to how they approach the changes that are already being playtested right now. But if you enjoyed the video, then make sure to hit that like button, it really does help me out a ton. And if you're new to the channel, then don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to stay up to date on all things Apex Legends. But it's been your boy Sethley, and I'm out.